Secretary Powell has admitted he did exactly the same thing. He had such a distinguished record. You know, I have served my country as well. We both did the same thing.
Just recently, Colin Powell's emails were retroactively classified from more than 10 years ago.
Right.
As he said, that was an absurdity. I could not agree more.
Yeah, well, look, she's a liar. I mean, she lies. She lied about the email. She lied about Colin Powell.
She set up the server on the same day that she started her Senate confirmation hearings. She didn't just go get a Gmail account. She literally set up this own server and in the basement of their house.
Well, there you hear some of the explanation of Hillary Clinton talking about former Secretary of State Colin Powell and his use of private email. Well, over the weekend, surfaced that Powell talked to People magazine, and here's what he said about all of this. Quote, "Her people have been trying to pin it on me," about the email scandal. The truth is, she was using the private email server for a year before I sent her a memo telling her what I did. It doesn't bother me. It's okay. I'm free. We'll start there. Let's bring in our panel. Steve Hayes, senior writer for the Weekly Standard. Mara Liasson, national political correspondent, National Public Radio, and editor-in-chief of LifeZette, Laura Ingraham. Okay, Mara, seems kind of a direct contradiction to what we've heard numerous times from Hillary Clinton and the campaign.
Yeah, she definitely has given the impression that because Colin Powell did it, or she seems to suggest that he did something just like what she did, therefore it was okay. And now he's contradicted that, and this is a story that just won't go away for her. And now the foundation story and the email story are kind of merging as one. So this is going to continue. You've got the lawsuit by Judicial Watch. You've got the investigation by Congress now that they have the FBI notes of the interview with her, and I think it's going to continue.
You know, people sometimes glaze over with all of this, Steve. But there are two tracks here. There's the email investigation, and now 15,000 additional documents. We don't know how many emails, but documents that have not been seen by anybody. Authorities say they just found them, in addition to the 30,000 that were said to be erased. Then you have these emails that Judicial Watch gets, some of them out today, including interchanges between Uma Abedin, a top aide, and Doug Band, the head of the Clinton Foundation, in which she says to him, he asked, speaking about someone from Bahrain, he's in town tomorrow. Doug Band asked to see Hillary Clinton, good friend of ours. He asked to see Hillary Clinton Thursday, Friday through normal channels. I asked, and she said she doesn't want to commit to anything for Thursday, Friday until she knows how she feels. She says that she may want to go to New York and doesn't want to commit herself to stuff in New York. Again, this is the Clinton Foundation and the State Department interacting, offering Bahrain 10 p.m., 10 tomorrow meeting. If you see him, let him know. We've reached out through official channels. Here's what the State Department said about all of this today.
Important people who had reason to convey information to the Secretary. There was nothing that we have seen that implied any kind of untoward relationship.
And James Rosen finding out that the Clinton Foundation COO, Laura Graham, left at least 148 messages for Cheryl Mills, Chief of Staff for Hillary Clinton. I mean, there's a lot of stuff, interaction between top Clinton aides.
Well, they probably just wanted to talk about scheduling her yoga lessons and Clinton grandchildren. Look, think about what Hillary Clinton said about this back in July. There is absolutely no connection between anything that I did as Secretary of State and the Clinton Foundation. We saw what you just read. Clearly she was lying. I mean, people are going to try to dress this up and use all sorts of euphemisms for what she was doing to avoid saying that she was lying. Clearly she was lying there. You have now, in addition to the evidence about Bahrain and the preference that they were given in terms of a meeting after going through the Clinton Foundation, you have other emails previously disclosed about jobs being offered to Clinton Foundation donors. You have the email about the emails regarding the person giving a seat on the Intelligence Advisory Committee because of his involvement, or at least related to his involvement in the Clinton Foundation. There is a clear pattern here, and the pattern here is in black and white. What amuses me as I follow other media outlets covering this is they continue to try to cast this as if it's about Republicans. Republicans are attacking Hillary Clinton on the foundation emails. Republicans say that this isn't about Republicans. This is about Hillary Clinton having made repeated representations that have turned out to be false, and we're seeing evidence that they were false false in black and white. I
Here's
don't
what the
understand
Clinton
why it's so
campaign
hard for
says.
people to say that.
Here's what they say, Laura. One, State Department has said there is no direct evidence of a quid pro quo from the Clinton Foundation and anything she did as secretary. Two, that the foundation does great work around the world.
Well, we also heard that she turned over all the documents. I don't know what it is about this particular story, the email story, but every time they try to come out and clarify, or she's asked a question and she has to answer off the cuff, she always steps in it. Think about Colin Powell, just to go back to that for a moment. He was actually a big ally, a big helper to the, I think, to the Clinton campaign. Now, who knows what Colin Powell is going to do in this campaign? Maybe he'll sit it out. If he just sits it out and doesn't say anything, that hurts them. But on this issue with the emails, with all the ins and outs, Bahrain or Cheryl Mills, what people, I think, increasingly are seeing is that this was set up for the purposes of helping the Clintons. It was selling access, selling influence, and selling employment positions, apparently. That's what it was set up for. There was some tangential benefits to some, charitable endeavors, but most of it just made the Clintons' lives better. That's why people are sick of politics, because politics, you're supposed to be servants of the people, but invariably, everybody else exists just to make the Clintons' lives better. That's how I think this is playing out. All the ins and outs get complicated for people, but I think people are seeing this foundation for what it is.
Meantime, this other story, the New York Post, says about Abedin, that Abedin was the campaign says, a figurehead, not actually on the staff, at the Saudi-based funded Journal of Minority Muslim Affairs, which featured radically anti-feminist views and backed strict Islamic laws, roundly criticized for oppressing women. A journalism major at George Washington University, Abedin was listed as assistant editor of that journal from 1996 to 2008. Her brother was associate editor, sister employed as assistant editor, listed as staff members. Abedin's Pakistani mother remains editor-in-chief. Here is what the State Department said about that today.
When Ms. Abedin was cleared to work here in the Department of State, one of the 2 jobs she held down during her tenure here, was Ms. Abedin's association with this journal known to the secretary or to anyone else in this building?
Having gone through security clearance process and considering the level of clearance she would have needed for the job that she held, I can assure you that she was, like any individual would be, fully vetted.
This journal, Maura, blamed America for 9/11 and had some pretty inflammatory things throughout the years.
Yeah, I think this has the potential to cause even more headaches. I don't know enough about this journal, but it's something that I'm sure now everybody's going to be taking a look at.
Well, you'd think, but
I mean, you know what? Look, these things get attention. The problem is that they often are overshadowed by other things.
No, about the daily Trump story is what overshadows.
Yes, that's what overshadows.
But I mean, think about this day. Think about all the things that came out today. Yeah. What this would do to the average candidate
it would be
running.
A terrible thing. And she has had one big piece of luck this year in that she has an opponent who has bigger troubles than she does.
The good news is that Hillary Clinton could clear this up when she gives her press conference tomorrow.
I think 200 and what is it?
Now,
some 60 plus days.
It's other questions. It's either the media's they're focusing on it. Why is it that Judicial Watch is doing all the FOIA requests? I mean, thank God for Judicial Watch. What would we do without Citizens United, Judicial Watch, that are actually doing the work, frankly, that places like 60 Minutes and all these vaunted, investigative units.
Let alone Capitol Hill. Judicial Watch is getting much more than Capitol Hill.
So again, they're unearthing all this information, and isn't that what the media generally are supposed to do? They're supposed to be bringing issues to the attention of the American people that go to the basic issues of trust. What's most important? If we can't trust our public officials, then we can't trust that they're going to look out for us as first and foremost. And that is what we're seeing in this Clinton Foundation scandal.
I want to talk about Trump and immigration in just a second, but Maura, politically, do you think that this sinks in? Does this...
Yeah, I do. I think this is a problem. Whether it's going to be something that would level the playing field between them, I don't know. But yes, this is a problem. This is why her numbers on honesty and trustworthiness are so bad.